He would say the opposite. He said, "But we got a team to win everything." But we did have a team to win everything, and at Man United, let's be honest, I don't think they're not in a level playing field right now with City and Arsenal, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich even. So, but no, Sir Alex, he said the opposite. He said, "You guys, you're here because I trust you, and we're going to win everything."
Owen Hargreaves, two-time Champions League winner. How excited are you for the Champions League to return to TNT Sport in just next week?
Well, I think everybody's always excited about the Champions League. I remember even as a player when you played, just kind of competing in the Champions League is such a privilege. I think it's the best game of football anywhere because, the sky's dark, stadium lights are on, energy's different, atmosphere is just different. Even something so simple as just like a pre-match. Do you remember the first time I came onto the Premier League and we had a 12 o'clock kickoff against Liverpool? And you get pre-match at like 9 in the morning. Well, I mean, how am I supposed to eat past that 9 in the morning, or a steak or a fish? So, yeah, Champions League is just the best of everything, just timing-wise, teams-wise, experience-wise. It's just the best. And obviously this season with the change of format, more teams, more games, looks like more competition. It looks like it could be even more interesting.
It seems like there's been like a mixed bag with the new format, but where do you see it? Obviously, you would have played in the group stages, the classic format of the Champions League, and now it goes into this Swiss League format that we're going to see this season. Do you feel like it needed that change, and are you excited to see how experimental it could be?
Well, first of all, people like to complain. That's especially when you got something that you've had that's been so successful for so long. But in the end, European football has always evolved over time. Competitions have changed. So. Until we actually see it in the flesh, I think people are going to be slightly sceptical. But ultimately, there's more teams there's more games. I look forward to seeing different teams that we haven't really seen before, like a Stuttgart or Girona or Brest. So Bologna, we probably wouldn't have had that if we would have stayed in that current form, in the old format. So I'm curious to see how it develops. I mean, the 36-team league, how's that going to work? So let's see. But I think we're all quietly optimistic that we're going to get bigger games from the bigger teams rather than maybe just kind of the one in the group stage. We'll look to get more of that.
So you said bigger games, bigger teams. Manchester City, your former team, unbeaten so far in the Premier League this season. They haven't weakened in any area. They've bring back Ilkay Gundogan from Barcelona. Do you think that they could actually be on for another treble like they were, 2 years ago?
I mean, it's slightly early doors for the treble.
So very early.
Yeah. No, but I mean, obviously they're the favourites in every competition. You have to just respect Pep and the team that they have. Haaland started the season like only really he could. So, yeah, they're the favourites for sure. But I think that's the one thing we've seen in the Champions League. It's not always the best team that wins. It's the team that kind of finds it at the right moment. Real Madrid are almost masters of that. So, yeah, I think everybody's looking at them and thinking they're the favourites. But it never really plays out that way often in the Champions League.
Vincent Kompany, of course, at the helm at Bayern Munich, your former club where you spent the majority of your career. Do you think it's too soon for him to potentially lead a club like Bayern to Champions League glory?
Look, that's expectation of Bayern Munich. Is maybe not always to win the Champions League, but it's at least to get to the quarterfinals, semi-finals every year. So I think Vinny will know that, after playing in Germany. I think a lot of people forget that he actually played in Germany, played at Hamburg, knows the language, ultimate winner, great guy, Vinny. I had him as a teammate, super captain as well. So I'm curious to see how he does it, because Bayern is unlike probably any club he's ever been at in terms of just the history of the people that have played there and represented that football club. And they're all upstairs above you. So, when it's going great. But when it's not, especially the last few years, they've gone through the three biggest managers some of the biggest managers in the game, and Nagelsmann, Hansi Flick, and Thomas Tuchel. So it's a tough task for him. But Bayern Munich's a beautiful football club with amazing people, and I just hope they give him more time than they gave the three before.
Well, you mentioned how big the football club is there. Well, every football fan knows how big Bayern Munich is, but as soon as you walk into that stadium, that training ground, do you get an energy of how much pressure is at stake when you walk through those doors, even if you're a manager, if you're a player?
It's even bigger than people think, especially in this country. I think obviously English fans or British fans are accustomed to their teams, and they're all big teams. But there's not many teams like Bayern that have won the Champions League so many times.
The stars above the crest.
Exactly. And the thing is as well, the football club, those people are still within the football club. They go upstairs, so they're kind of looking after it day to day. So Vinny knows that more than anyone. being from Belgium, having played in Germany, played against Bayern multiple times. So he understands, and he would have had that in the conversations with the football club. You know, you're expected to win the league, you're expected to win the cup, and then you've got to try and make some noise in the Champions League, which means quarterfinals, semi-finals, and if it goes well, you win. So Vinny knows that, and I'm sure he's there as an opportunity to go and try and win some big trophies.
How obsessed will Harry Kane be with wanting to win the Champions League as well? Of course, backfiring for England this week. Do you reckon he sort of like played a little bit injured at the Euros for England or not?
It's hard to tell. I mean, it didn't look like the Harry we're used to, and the Harry we saw at Bayern Munich all season, you know, breaking records again. So I would say, I mean, all the great players always play with a point to prove, always play, in any sport, they kind of play a bit like, you know, the people are against them even though they're not, you know. So I'm sure Harry will use the summer as motivation. Still got to a final. I know we didn't see the best Harry Kane, but in the Bundesliga and the Champions League, it was pretty close to brilliant. And the team's even stronger this year. So Olise's coming to that team is going to be super interesting, I think. Paulinho, obviously we know from Fulham. So I'm curious, you know, I'm really curious. I think at any team that's got Musiala and Thomas Muller and, you know, Coleman and all these amazing players surrounded by Harry is going to do incredibly well.
Saturday, 12:30, live and exclusive on talkSPORT and TNT Sport as well. Manchester United travelled to Southampton. How far away are they, your former club, from getting back into the Champions League?
Yeah, they look pretty far, to be fair. But football goes real quick, you know, and I think Ten Hag, you know, has done a decent job of getting trophies while they're trying to transition. I think people expect more just from the team, just because of the nature of who they are and the money they're spending in the transfer market. But the situation that City and Arsenal are just stronger right now. Liverpool look really good under Arne Slot. So, but they gotta get it going real quick. You know, a slow start to the season, and they need to turn around real quick. But I do like the kind of the moves they made in the summer. I do think they sound some really good players. I'm excited to see Ogata. I think he's going to be brilliant player. The young Uruguayan, he's brilliant against the ball, kind of winning the ball back and getting it to the guys who win you the game. So, no, I'm curious to see how those new players fit in and settle in once the team settles down.
Is it a case of like building the team around someone like Garnacho or Amad Diallo, the two like young members of the squad, but two of the most exciting players in the team as well? Yeah,
I think if you're gonna, obviously Bruno's been their star player for years.
Yeah.
But I do think the shining lights the last couple of seasons really have been Garnacho and Mainu. You know, I think have been amazing academy boys. So, and that's been the culture at Manchester United. Thing is, they got to get it right in the transfer market. You know, that's where you see teams like Arsenal and City. They don't miss, and I think that's been a bit of an issue. But I do think the people that they've employed at the football club, Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox, top guys in their field, really good guys. They know that space, and I'm sure they'll start to fix those areas.
As you've probably seen on Rio Ferdinand's podcast, which the reports have come out that Cristiano Ronaldo has spoken out against Erik Ten Hag, saying that he claimed to say you can't win the Champions League or the Premier League to his squad. Would someone like Sir Alex ever say that to you at the start of a season or at any point? No,
he would say the opposite. He said we've got a team to win everything. But we did have a team to win everything, and you know, Man United. Let's be honest, I don't think they're not in a level playing field right now with City and Arsenal, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich even. So they got to start kind of, you know, getting a squad together to compete. But no, Sir Alex, he said the opposite. He said, "You guys, you're here because I trust you, and we're going to win everything."
So do you think that Ten Hag was just being brutally honest?
Yeah, he's pretty honest, but you know, I think we always expect people to be honest in interviews and say stuff after the game. So then when people are brutally honest, then they get it thrown against them. I think if you look at the managers that have longevity in the game, they actually say less, you know, and they don't say stuff that kind of people can come back on them. So I respect him, the fact that he is honest, but that honesty always isn't kind of, you know, reciprocated from the press, because then they say, well, you know, why are you saying that? Why are you being critical of your team? I don't think he is. I think he understands there's teams ahead of Man United right now.
I want to speak to you about Cristiano Ronaldo quickly. When you arrived at Manchester United, what were your first impressions of him? And can you remember the first thing that you said to him?
He's just a machine. You know, people think like, look at him and whatever, critical of him for whatever reason. I don't understand that. He's an incredible athlete, even better pro. You got to think, that guy, with the talent he has, that he's born with, the size, the strength, the skill that he has, he was the guy working on this game more than anyone. So if you're a young kid and you want to become great in any walk of life, you might have a skill set, but you're only going to get there through hard work. And he was he was after training would finish, he'd get the ball and go do step overs, do free kicks. And then he'd go into the gym, he'd work out, do weights, and then he'd go get in the ice bath. And then he'd eat right. And he did that every day. And if you're not of his mindset, on his kind of, as dedicated as him, he doesn't have much patience for that. And I respect that. So, yeah, I remember just seeing him in the gym all the time, just working. He said to me, one of the first days in the gym, he said, "Oh, and I want to be the best player in the world this year." He hadn't won the Ballon d'Or yet. You know, and that year we won the league and Champions League, and he won the Ballon d'Or. And that was his mindset, you know, and he planted a seed and it grew. So I got so much respect for the fact that he's still playing this game at this age, when we're all kind of broken and injured in the studio somewhere.
I'm 28 and I'm broken.
Yeah. So, you know, I got a lot of love and respect for I've got to see him work every day, and I know what he puts into his craft.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.